Hello everyone and welcome to Blank Slate TV. I am your host, Full Blood Mex, and it's here on the dev server, the Leopard 2A4, and by God is this thing sexy. I want it, and I want it in the live server right now. But before we can get into it, we're gonna look at the other vehicles. I'm just gonna go down the line and give my thoughts on the other vehicles. So the newest vehicle being added to the American tree line is the XM803 with a battle rating of 9.0. This thing is a new MBT 70, or an upgraded version at least. Back in 1970, when the MBT project was cancelled, Congress decided to allow the creation of this tank. While it didn't go far in prototype phase, it was ultimately cancelled by Congress, as the reason was that too much money was being spent on the project. So, it has a mass of 51.7 tons and a max speed of 40 miles per hour, which is going to be pretty fast at 9.0. And if we go into the X-ray, we see that it has spaced armor on the front that provides 200 millimeters of kinetic energy and 170 protection against chemical energy. It has spaced armor on the sides, just like the MBT-70. This provides 320 kinetic energy munitions and 280 chemical energy. It also has some spaced armor on this for the ammo. It has 3 crew members, the gunner, commander, and the driver. Now, this thing pleasantly surprised me. The one thing that it does have going is an incredibly fast ATGM round, which I'm going to load up. Here we are in the test drive, and as you can see, I have the ATGM loaded for this gun. And I'm going to say that this ATGM is incredibly fast. Just look how fast it goes. While it doesn't say how fast it goes in the description, it does do a pretty good amount of damage, as you can see right there. But the problem is, with this current meta going on, it's not going to do very well in the 9.0 atmosphere, provided that most vehicles have very good chemical protection, that and ERA, just like the BV over there. And as I shoot, it does absolutely no damage, even after the ERA is blown off. Would I grind this tank? No. Even though it is in the same slot as the MBT, I feel like that this tank did not have to be added at all into this lineup. The next vehicle we are going to be looking at is the granddaddy of the Abrams, the XM1 GM. The GM stands for General Motors, while for the Xbox One version, the C stands for Chrysler. Now this XM1 GM looks like a mixture between the Challenger and the Abrams, with the optics being over there, and it looks like a very slender version of the Abrams with a very narrow turret compared to the production one. It has a battle rating of 9.0, a mass of 52.6 tons, and a max speed of 51 miles per hour, which is very quick. Now if we go into the X-ray, we see that the spaced armor goes all the way down compared to the Abrams. It provides 265 millimeters of kinetic energy for the top and 300 millimeters of chemical. Now for the bottom, it provides 240 millimeters of protection all around from both chemical and protection. Now this surprised me. The turret has composite armor that provides 280 millimeters of kinetic and 540 against chemical, which shall be very good against heat FS and ATGMs. Now this doesn't have anything protecting its sides, so the gunner, commander, the loader, and the driver will be very vulnerable from the side. Now if we go into modifications, we can see that the very first round it gets is APDS, which is going to struggle against in the 9.0 atmosphere, because as of right now, on the recording of June 2nd, 2018, APDS is still very crap. But luckily, as we go down and see right here, that it does get APFSDS round with 360 millimeters of penetration, which is also going to struggle in today's climate of the 9.0 BR. Overall, I would not buy this tank, because yes, while it is very fast, you are getting a prototype Abrams, and I don't think it will do very well against this 9.0 BR. With it being upgraded, and it's going to be facing against Leo 2s, Type 90s, the BV, and the T62 M1s. Now, if you really do want to get this, go ahead. I'm not the one to tell you how to spend your money. I'm just telling you my honest opinion on it. Now on to the Germans. As you can see here, they added a new low tier vehicle, and this thing is absolutely cute. Look at it, it looks like a mini Puma. This thing can fire APCR rounds, which I tested it earlier in the test drive. It only has 2 crew members, so be careful, because if your commander gets machine gunned, that will be over for you. It has 10 millimeters of armor on the front, 14 sloped, and 8 millimeters all around, so do be wary, because you can be one shot in this thing by most things in tier 1. So we're finally here, the Leopard 2A4, and by God, just look at it, look at this thing, it's so sexy. If we go into the X-ray, we can see that the composite stretches all the way down, giving your drivers good protection. It only has 360 millimeters of kinetic and 600 millimeters of chemical, which surprises me because there are some good databases out there saying that the Leopard 2A4 has at least 570 kinetic and over 750 chemical. But I guess it makes sense in this aspect, because if the Leopard 2A4 was given its real-life counterpart's armor, this thing would be unstoppable, with little things being able to pen it. So if we go down here, the composite armor only provides 200 millimeters against kinetic and 260 against chemical. The turret provides 360 kinetic and 600 chemical. But for the mantlet, this is going to be a big weak spot for the Leopard 2A4. It only has 180 millimeters of kinetic and 210 chemical. Over here, it has 390 millimeters of kinetic and 650 chemical. I was pleasantly surprised to see that there is some composite back here behind the optics, and it provides 360 kinetic and 600 millimeters of chemical, meaning that if angled right, it can stop some rounds. The sides do have composite, which is nice to see. It only provides 180 millimeters of kinetic and 205 against chemical. The spaced armor here and for the ammo rack is also nice to see, given that this vehicle does have blowout panels. But do be wary, your fuel tanks are on the side. A vehicle such as the MBT or other high caliber machine guns on tanks can be penetrated and can set you afire through here. Another thing I noticed was that the Leopard 2A4 has composite side skirts, providing even more protection for the driver. Unfortunately, at the moment, we cannot see the armor values of these side skirts, but I'm assuming it's not going to be much, but it does provide some protection for your driver. This thing will be able to go over 44 miles per hour, making it a pretty speedy tank for its BR. Another vehicle that hasn't been mentioned that's going to be added into the game is the T62 M1. And if we go right here, we can see that this thing looks like a beast. If you guys do not know, the T62 M1 is just an upgraded version of the T62 with composite armor added on the front and turret. If we go into the X-ray, we can see that this vehicle has 320 millimeters of kinetic and 450 against chemical. On the turret, it only has 400 millimeters of kinetic and 500 against chemical. But as we can see here, there's other armor values, suggesting that it has even more composite armor, making this 9.0 tank going to be very deadly. It has a maximum speed of 34 miles per hour, which is pretty good, but not as fast as the Leo 2A4. And I'm looking forward to getting this vehicle. If we go into modifications, we can see that it starts out with an APFSDS round. As you guys can see, the T64B was given the module to be upgraded to the BV, giving it ERA armor on the sides, front, lower, which is a minimal amount, and on the turret. If we go into X-ray, we can see that the ERA gives 370 millimeters of chemical protection on top of the already 500 millimeters of chemical. So this now has over 800 millimeters of chemical protection, which makes it a very good contender against the Leo 2's Heat FS and ATGMs. The British, surprisingly, in this patch do get something new. They get this low-tier vehicle of the Mark VIA AA, which is another SPAA. If we see here, it just looks like a very squatted version. The guns can fire up to 600 shots per minute, but they fire only 7.92 millimeter ammo. It only has 2 crew members, suggesting that if just like the Mini Puma, that if your commander gets shot, you will be put out of action. This thing does not have a lot of armor all around, and can be one-shotted just like typical SPAAs. So do not hold your breath if you're gonna be one-shotting or shooting through any of the tier 1 tanks. We do get this 7.0 Centurion Mark V AVRE premium vehicle. Now this vehicle is just like another Centurion Mark V with major differences. It does get ERA side skirts on the hull and on the turret, providing at least, if we go into the X-ray, it does provide 300 millimeters of chemical and 30 millimeters of kinetic, which is good to see because this will provide some protection against rounds. The muzzle or the barrel is very short, making this a derp gun. Here we are in the test drive. As you can see, this vehicle is sorta slow for its battle rating, so be wary of that. It turns horribly for a premium vehicle, and you're gonna have to aim very high to get some targets. The shell has an incredibly low drop and a very long reload. Would I get this premium vehicle? Probably not. But if you have some money to spare and want to buy it, go for it. I'm not the one to tell you how to spend your own money. The Japanese finally get something good. The Type 90, with a battle rating of 9.7. This thing is going to be a force to be reckoned with on the battlefield. If we go into X-ray, we can see that the composite does not stretch all the way down, just like the Leopard 2A4, so be careful. Your fuel tank and your driver can still be sniped. The composite provides 360 millimeters of kinetic and 600 millimeters of chemical. Unlike the Leopard 2A4s, it does not have composite on the side, so be wary. It does get an autoloader, which is going to have a fast reload rate. So, on the turret, it does provide 360 millimeters of kinetic and 600 millimeters of chemical. Just like the Leopard 2A4s, the mantlet is going to be a huge weak point for the vehicle, with only 180 millimeters of kinetic and 200 millimeters of chemical. It does not get any other side skirts, it does not get any other composite side skirts like the Leopard 2A4, so which you can be sniped at the side. Another thing I was pleasantly surprised to see was that if we go into the modifications, this vehicle does have an APFSDS capable of penetrating 540 millimeters of armor, which is going to be a force to reckon with because most vehicles does not even have armor that can bounce this kind of shell. So this vehicle is going to be the new M1 Abrams of the 1.77, and it's going to provide very good firepower with its autoloader. One vehicle that we did not see being mentioned or was posted in the dev blogs was this AMX40 for the French. With a battle rating of 9.0, this thing is going to be very hard to play with, seeing that the French did not get a stabilizer onto the modern MBT, the Leclerc. So if we go into X-ray, we can see that it does get some composite armor, but it's not much. It only provides 250 millimeters of kinetic and 300 millimeters of chemical, making it the lowest amount of protection that a composite armor tank provides. It does get some composite on the mantlet, providing 300 millimeters of kinetic and 330 millimeters of chemical. This vehicle can go at 43 miles per hour, making it very fast and on the move, but without a stabilizer it's going to be very hard to play with. So sorry, French players. Well, that does it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it and thought that it was very informative. If you guys liked it, please share it all around. Share the love. Thank you for coming by and thank you for watching.